Hi, my name is Angel. Welcome back to my channel. Although I do read a lot, I have never read a fantasy book before. Typically, I read horror, and there are some horror books that maybe have some fantastical elements to them that I have read, but I've never read a straight up fantasy book. I don't know why, it's just never been my thing. But I decided I wanted to change that. So this week, I have 3 fantasy books that I want to read, and I want to take you guys along for that journey. So we're going to do a little reading vlog. Over my time on BookTube and watching other booktubers, people that read fantasy, there have been a few books that have kind of piqued my interest and have made me think like, I kind of want to read that, even though I don't read fantasy. So I picked 3 of those books today and we're gonna read them. So the first one is For the Wolf by Hannah Whitten. I don't really know anything about this. I've heard that it's like a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but some people say it gives like Little Red Riding Hood vibes, and I know that there's like a romance, like I think she gets sent to this wolf and they fall in love or something. So I don't know. It just sounds interesting to me. Next, we have Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, which I have been seeing everywhere because the 3rd book in the trilogy just came out. And I don't know why. I just love seeing everybody get so happy and excited reading this series. And the hype has gotten to me. I want to see what it's all about. I have no idea what the plot is, but we're gonna go ahead and read it anyways. I also picked up the 2nd book from my library just in case I do enjoy the first one and I want to read the next one. I don't know if I'll read it in this video if I do decide to read it, but I have it just in case. I want to be prepared. And this last one is one that I've always said, like if I ever read a fantasy book, it will probably be this one. I saw it at the thrift store a little while ago, so I decided to pick it up so that whenever I got to the point where I thought I would read it, I would have it ready, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses. I don't really have to say anything about this. We all know, we've all seen it everywhere, the entire series. The only thing I know about this is that there is fays and it is spicy, and that's all I think I need to know. That has my interest enough. So with that being said, here are the 3 books that I'm going to be reading this week, and I don't know which one I'm going to start with yet, so I will update you guys when I see you again, but let's go ahead and get into it. Wish me luck. I am very excited for this, but I'm also very nervous. I don't know why. Fantasy just seems so intimidating to me because I feel like there's a lot of brain power that goes into reading fantasy and like world building and like magic systems and all of that. So I don't know, that's just a little bit intimidating to me, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna power through. Hopefully I can come out at the end of this and say that I'm a fantasy girly now. But let's go ahead and get started. So I started For the Wolf today. I decided I wanted to start with this one because it's supposed to be a YA and it's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, I believe. So I figured like because of those things, a retelling, you know, obviously I already know like the base story of it. And then YA is typically a little bit easier to read. So I figured this might be like a good little introduction into the genre, maybe a bit of like a lighter read than some other fantasy. I have to say, I am enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would be. Like, I am very invested in this story right now, even though there are certain aspects where I'm like, I don't know what this means, but I'm having fun. I definitely think the hardest part of this vlog for me is going to be trying to explain the plot of these books to you guys, because obviously like as somebody who doesn't normally read fantasy, like I have a hard time understanding like what is happening at some points, so trying to explain it to somebody else is like a little bit even more difficult. Basically the main character, her name is Red, and she is the 2nd daughter. So there's like this whole thing where they live where the 2nd daughter is for the wolf. So that means on their 20th birthday, they get sent into the woods to this wolf, and basically they do that as like a sacrifice because they had like these 5 kings or something that the wolf like, I don't know, banished to the shadow world. And So they want to get the kings back, so they think that sacrificing the second daughter to the wolf is gonna like let him release the kings. Like I said, I'm gonna do a terrible job of explaining this. So Red is the second daughter, and she has now gone into the woods and has come across this like castle basically where the wolf lives, but he's not really a wolf, he's a man, and they're supposed to have like a little romance. And honestly, like, I'm here for it because he is giving very much like dark, broody, like handsome, very overprotective vibes, and I'm here for it. I want the romance. I'm very excited for when that's gonna come into play. So it's definitely interesting so far following Red's story, and like she also has like magic abilities that she's the only one in like her village or wherever she came from that has magic because of something that happened to her. So I think a lot of her story is going to be her like really learning to work with it and like harness those powers. And it's also interesting because she is now learning that everything that she was taught from where she's from isn't necessarily the truth, as she has met the wolf and is like learning his side of things and like how things really are. So it's very, very interesting. We also get chapters in between of her sister, who is the first daughter, so she still like lives in this village or wherever that they're from, but I think she is also going to start uncovering things and realizing that the things that they're taught there aren't necessarily true. So I'm very, very curious to see where everything goes. Very excited for the romance to come into play. So yeah, I don't know. I just didn't expect to like be as invested as I am this early on into the book. I don't know if I said I'm 98 pages through. I thought it was going to take me a while to get into this book or just to get into any fantasy. So I'm very glad that I'm not like struggling through this book. Anyway, just wanted to pop on and give you guys a quick little initial update, and I'm gonna get back to reading and probably see you guys tomorrow. Sorry, one more thing I wanted to say. I think this was like a good book choice for me because I typically read horror, and this is kind of like a darker fantasy. Well, I don't know what most fantasy mainly is. I know a lot of fantasy has to deal with like war and fighting and things like that, but there are certain elements of this that I feel like are darker elements, like the whole woods and like this like shadow world that they have with like the monsters. So it kind of is like a little bit of like a horror kind of spooky thing. So I feel like that's really helping me to become more invested in the story. Okay, now that's all I have to say. So I am about 100 pages from the end of For the Wolf now. I don't have a lot to tell you guys, but I am still really enjoying it. I will be honest, there are a few things that I just don't understand, like the fantasy aspects and like the magic, but I really love the way that like nature is sort of incorporated into the story and like the magic that they use, and it's like kind of intertwined with like them as people. I don't know, it's very, very interesting. Really enjoying the romance part of it. Like, I kind of get it. I get why people love fantasy, and I get why people love fantasy romance, and I get why it's like so hyped, and like pretty much anywhere in like the book community people read fantasy, and I get it. And I always see people that read fantasy books making like playlists and mood boards and like aesthetic pins and everything, and I get that now because I just want to look up like the aesthetic of this book and like fan art for the characters and just picture them together. I think it's so fun. So I totally definitely understand the hype now, but I'm really enjoying the romance in this book. This might be like a minor spoiler, but it happens pretty early on in the book, I feel like, and it's not anything like crazy important to the plot. I mean, it is, but it's not like anything that is gonna ruin your reading experience if you know this before going into it. So obviously Red is developing a romance with the wolf, but before that they decide to get married as like a way to bind themselves together and to kind of help with their like magic and like harnessing their powers and complete what they are trying to complete. And it's so cute because all of the villagers now refer to her as Lady Wolf, and they refer to them together as the wolves, which I think is so cute. And it's like such a vibe, like Lady Wolf. I don't know, I just love that. But their romance is definitely developing now, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I will say the only things that I'm not really enjoying that much is like the chapters where we are with Red's sister back in the village, but it's like hard because I know that those chapters are important to the plot of the book and I need to actually pay attention and read them, but I don't love them as much as I love the chapters with Red and the wolf. I think are so much more interesting, and I enjoy those characters more than I enjoy the characters in like the sisters parts of the book. That is pretty much all that I have to say for now. I'm just gonna relax for the rest of the night and then finish this book tomorrow, so I will let you guys know, see you again when I finish it. But I'm very happy that it's still going well. I'm very happy that I'm enjoying this and I'm understanding why so many people read fantasy. I get it and I love it, and I'm excited to keep reading this one and even more excited for the other books that I'm going to be reading in this video. So I finished For the Wolf on break at work today, and if I hadn't been at work, I would have set up a camera to record because the amount of emotions that I went through in the last like 30 to 40 pages of this book, it was a roller coaster. Like, I was shocked, I was sad, I was just thrown around, taken for a ride at the very end of this book, and it was really fun, but it was also like I couldn't really like audibly react as I would have if I was at home because I was like trying not to look crazy around like people that I work with. But I finished For the Wolf, so let's go ahead and talk about it. So first and foremost, I did enjoy this book. I had so much fun. I was very invested in the story the whole time and the characters. There were a few things that I felt were lacking. One of those things was the relationship between Red and her sister Neve. I feel like a lot of their relationship was more so like told rather than shown. Like, we are told that they have like a bond, this sisterly bond, and they care about each other, but I feel like we're not really shown a lot of their bond and a lot of their feelings for each other aside from what we're told, like, oh, they're sisters, so they care about each other and they have this like deep love for each other. Like, yeah, I can understand that, but I also like wish we were actually shown and demonstrated some of the feelings that they had and the bonds that they had with each other, because there were a lot of things that happened with Red's sister, especially towards the end, that I feel like didn't hit emotionally for me because I didn't feel like how strong their bond was. And with that being said, I'm not sure if I'm going to read the second book in this, because the second book definitely is going to focus on what happens with Red's sister at the end of this. So I feel like it's going to focus a lot more on the sisterly relationship. So I guess maybe I should read it, because maybe we'll get more of what I thought was lacking in this book. But because I didn't connect with it in this book, I don't know if I want to read a whole other book that's going to deal with that. I don't know. I feel like if I do read the second one, it'll be to be immersed back in this setting. That is one thing that I think was done well in this book, is the setting and the atmosphere of it all. The descriptions were on point, and the way that nature is incorporated with everything, I really, really loved. The like dark woods vibes to this whole story. So it was atmospheric. The setting was definitely done very, very well. And I know I mentioned to you guys last night that there were some things that I was like, I just don't really understand what's happening, but I'm just going along with it. And I thought that was like my fault as someone who's never read fantasy before, I thought it was just like, well, maybe I'm just having a hard time like understanding it because I'm new to this genre. But then I was reading some reviews on this book, and people that do read fantasy were saying that some things, as far as like the magic and like the legend, I guess, I don't know, more of like the backstory, weren't explained very well in this book. So I'm not alone in that. So for example, there's like this whole section that they are in is called the Wilderwood, but I feel like I don't really fully understand what that means still, even though I read the book. Like, there are a lot of things that were talked about in the book that I was like, I don't really fully get this, but I do enough to enjoy the story. A lot of like the wolf's backstory as well, I feel like was a little bit lacking, but overall I did really enjoy this. I had a lot of fun reading it. I can definitely understand, like I said, the love for the genre and the way that people can get so invested in different worlds and different characters and different series and things like that. Because it really does, I don't know, just like all of the action and all the fun stuff I really, really enjoyed. And all the emotions that it made me feel, I really, really enjoyed as well. So I can't decide what I want to rate this. I was kind of thinking of 3.5, and then like initially when I finished it, I was thinking of 4, just because I had so much fun in the last section of this book, just all of the emotions that it made me feel and all of the action and everything that was happening. But spending some more time thinking about it and reading reviews from other people and knowing that like it wasn't just me that had a hard time understanding things in this book, maybe I will lean back towards a 3.5 again. I'm not totally sure. I feel like I'll probably just have to do a wrap up at the end of this video where I give you guys my final ratings, but I think it's gonna be 3.5, 3.75. Also, while we're here, I got a package in the mail, and I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but we're gonna open it up together. I recently won a giveaway on Goodreads. This is my second time winning a Goodreads giveaway as well, so this is your sign. Like, if you see all those giveaways and you think that they're scams or that people don't actually win them, it's real, take it from me. But I won, okay, yes, that's what it is. I won What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher, which is the sequel to What Moves the Dead, which I actually don't own, so I'm gonna have to buy it now so that I can have both of them. What was that? Oh, there was a sticker. Cool. And this book doesn't come out until February, I think, so it's actually an arc. I'm so excited. Also, this cover is stunning. I love the cover for What Moves the Dead, and I love this cover as well, and they go together so perfectly. So very, very excited for this, and it's like an early birthday present. My birthday's in 3 days, so thank you to the publisher. Who is the publisher? Macmillan Publishers. Thank you for the early birthday gift. So I started Once Upon a Broken Heart today. I am now on page 128, so I just wanted to do a little bit of an update. I don't have too many thoughts right now. This is YA as well, so it is very, very quick and easy to read. Like, I'm flying through it, reading it very, very fast. But it's kind of nice because I don't have to really think too hard about it, which is like one fear that I had in terms of like fantasy, is that it's going to be too much brain power and too much for me to understand. But because this is YA and the way that it's written, the font also is pretty big in the book, so like I said, I'm just flying through it. Everything that's happening is explained very well, so it's like very easy to understand and grasp what's going on. I feel like some of it might even be explained too much, where she's like really trying to like drive home the point that she's trying to make. But that's kind of nice because I actually know what's going on in this book. So this is about this girl, Evangeline Fox, I think that's her name. And she was in love with this boy that she was like kind of seeing, but then he just like all of a sudden announced that he was going to marry her stepsister. So she went to this guy, the Prince of Hearts, to get him to put a stop to the wedding. So basically, like, the Prince of Hearts is one of the Fates, which I think was a part of the Caraval, I don't know how to say it, that series, which is by the same author, obviously. It takes place in the same world, but I think that's where the idea of the Fates came in. Obviously, I haven't read that series, but they are in this book. So she goes to the Prince of Hearts to bargain with him to get him to stop this wedding, and he agrees, but he says that she must give him 3 kisses, not kissing him but kissing other people. So like whenever he says and whoever he says, she has to kiss them. So I think he's just trying to teach her a lesson of like not just like falling for this guy, because like he even said to her like obviously he didn't love you if he like went and was gonna marry this other girl, but if this is what you really want, then you have to give me this and like prove that you can experience other people and see what other people have to offer before you just like settle for this guy that clearly doesn't love you. But the Prince of Hearts is kind of known for like having a deadly kiss. So every woman that he's kissed has died, and the only woman that he can kiss is like his one true love whenever he finds her. So obviously like the story is going to turn into a romance between the two of them. I feel like that's very, very obvious from the get-go. But right now we're just following her as she like goes through these different kisses that she has to do. So she did the first one. She's got 2 more to do. The cat's playing with the toy back here. But it's very, very interesting. This is very much like storybook, like fairy tale vibes, and I'm kind of really enjoying it. It's a very light read so far, very easy to understand, very quick. So I feel like if I wanted to, I honestly could finish this tonight, because I don't have to work tomorrow, so I don't have to go to bed at a certain time. It is just over 400 pages, but because I'm reading it so quickly, I feel like it's gonna feel like nothing. Also, I might be a little premature with this, but this is a trilogy, obviously. And I feel like even though I'm only 130 pages through this, like I could definitely see myself continuing the series just because it is such like a light and easy read that you don't really have to think about so far. Also, it's really nice that the 3rd book just came out, so if I do decide to finish it or continue with the series, I don't have to wait for a new release. Anyway, I feel like I just talked a bunch and maybe that was a little bit scatterbrained. I feel like not everything was comprehensive in that, but I guess it's going well. Like I don't really have very, very strong feelings. Like I said, some things feel like they're like really over-explained, but I guess I can't really complain because it is helpful to really understand what's going on. So that is the book so far. I'm gonna take a shower, relax, and then get back into reading. So I will update you guys again once I am a little bit further through. Maybe you won't see me until I finish it. I don't know. I feel robbed. I feel duped. I feel disappointed. You're telling me that this is the book that I've seen everybody loving and everybody calling like one of their favorite books ever. Girl, what the hell was this? I like am at a loss for words because what the hell was this? I'm giving it 2 stars and I have a lot to say, so just let's go ahead and get into it. There are some things that are going to be spoilers, but I'm going to do like a non-spoiler type of review first. I will warn you guys before the spoilers are coming in case you do want to read this, but like I don't even know where to start. Let's start with the positives. let's be a little positive and a little happy for a minute. So the things that I did like, first of all, I liked that this was easy to read, which made it very quick to read. I liked the fairy tale kind of storybook vibes that the whole book really gave off. I really enjoyed that. And I liked the inclusion of like spell books and like potions and that type of magic. And that's about it. Sorry, the cat is playing with her toy. That's pretty much everything that I liked in this book. The things that I didn't like is a much longer list. The main thing to me is that a lot of this book just feels very surface level, like not only with the story but like the characters as well. It doesn't feel like there's any real depth to any of them, and a lot of the dialogue as well just felt very like unrealistic. Some parts were like even a little bit cringy, but it was just really hard for me to actually care about the characters or connect to anything because of the dialogue. And just, I don't know, I feel like there was no depth to anything in this story. I wasn't a big fan of the main character Evangeline either. I feel like she was just kind of dumb at points. That I will get a little bit more into when I talk about like spoilers, but like I don't know. I don't like her character. I feel like she was really irritating, and she got away with so many things, and so many things were just made easy for her because she was like so nice and sweet and polite. And like she literally, like anytime they'd have to go somewhere and the door was like locked or they couldn't get in, they'd be like, oh my god, how do we get in? She'd be like, oh, I'm just so nice and polite and the door just like opens for me. Like, girl, be for real. Like, oh my god. It just doesn't make any sense to me. There was a part as well where her and Jax like started communicating with their minds. Like they would literally just like communicate through their thoughts, not even talking, and that was like never explained. Or if it was explained, I missed it because like how did they do that? I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. Certainly I don't know how they did that. Also, Evangeline and Jax, I feel like I said, is very obvious, like they're gonna have a romance, although that didn't really develop in this book. I'm sure it'll start taking form in the second book, but they really, I feel like, don't have any chemistry. Like, I don't know. I like Jax a lot more than I like Evangeline, and I feel like he could do a little bit better than her because, I don't know. I don't know why. I just, like, apparently I'm, like, a hater of her. I don't know. I just didn't really enjoy her character at all. The plot also literally was all over the place. Like one thing would happen and then it would just like go to a different thing and a different thing and a different thing, and I felt like a million different stories all combined into one. Like the amount of times that we jumped around between different scenarios was kind of crazy to me. So now we're gonna get a little bit into like the spoilers. So if you don't want to hear spoilers for this book, I'm gonna put up a timestamp that you can skip ahead to when I'm done discussing spoilers. But this plot literally is like she starts off with the Prince of Hearts, Jax, and she like makes this deal, and then he stops the wedding and they go on their little thing to like do the kisses or whatever, and then she like ends up marrying this other prince, and then like he dies, and then fucking vampires come into the story, and like I just don't know how any of that, like, I don't know how to word this. But like vampires, what the hell were vampires doing in this book? I don't know. I don't know. Also, back to Evangeline being just like, I don't know, stupid, like naive or like whatever, but she has this stepsister, Marisol, who's a big part of the story, and she knows. So, first of all, Marisol is getting married at the very beginning to the guy that Evangeline like falls in love with, like her boyfriend or whatever that she's been seeing. Marisol and him are getting married. So right off the bat, I don't understand how she has a relationship with Marisol and how they have like a bond at all, but she like is really, I don't know, nice to her stepsister and really likes her for some reason, despite the fact that she literally is gonna marry the person that she's in love with. So we have that, and then it is like very obvious that Marisol is like kind of doing things to mess with her. Like she put a spell on this guy to make him fall in love with her, even though Evangeline and him were together. Anytime that Evangeline suspects Marisol of like having sinister plans or like doing any of these things, she always goes, "Oh no, I trust her. She's my stepsister." But she literally has no reason to trust her at all. I just don't understand why she keeps like writing her off so easily and saying like, "Oh, it couldn't have been her." And then, oh, surprise, at the fucking end, it is her. Like, who could have seen that coming? I don't know. My head hurts trying to talk about this. The last like 40 or so pages, I was just like so over it. I was like, I want to be done with this because like what the hell is happening? So aside from all of that, there was really nothing particularly special about this book. Even if you can overlook like all of the flaws and all of that stuff, or the things that I see as flaws, like it's not written in an exceptionally like fantastic way. There's nothing really groundbreaking happening. I just don't understand. Like, I don't want to hate or be a hater and like trash on anybody's like favorite book, but when people say this is their most favorite book in the entire world, and I see people flip through and they have like a million annotations and tabs and things, and I'm just like, I just want to know what was in this book that made you feel so strongly about it. And I, like I said, I don't want to be a hater, but like it really doesn't leave you with any groundbreaking conclusion, or like I said, beautiful writing that you could like annotate and tab or whatever. But like I just don't know what this book did for other people, because like it wasn't anything exceptional to me. I just truly can't wrap my head around how many people give it like 5 stars or high 4 ratings, and they say like, "Oh, it's so fantastic and so amazing and I love it so much." And I'm just like, why? Like, can you point out the specific parts of this book that you love and like actually sit down with me like I'm a child and explain it to me, because I just don't understand. Anyway, let me try to be done being a hater now. I might read the second book in this just because it is such like a light and easy read, and I do love those fairy tale vibes, so maybe just to get more of that vibe, I will pick up the second one, and who knows, maybe the second one will be better. But if you guys have recommendations for books that have like a similar aesthetic or vibe to this, with like very much fairy tale, like it really reminded me of like being a child and reading like classic fairy tales, like what are them, I can't think of a single one right now, like The Princess and the Pea or Cinderella or Midsummer Night's Dream, like 12 Dancing Princesses, like all of those like very classic fairy tale storybook vibes. That is how I felt when I was reading this, and I really, really enjoyed that aspect of it. So if you guys can recommend me books with that same vibe, I would greatly appreciate it. For now, I'm gonna give this 2 stars, and I'm really, really sad about it, but we're gonna move on. I'm gonna start my next book tomorrow, and hopefully that one goes better. I literally almost finished this book and forgot to update you guys. I am, oh gosh, I'm holding it upside down first of all. ACOTAR, Court of Thorns and Roses. I am on page 242, so well over halfway, and I have to say, I'm really loving it. I never thought I would say this, but this book is on track to be a 5-star read if things continue going the way that they're going. Also, I know I'm not done with this yet, but I feel like I can definitely see myself continuing on with the series, because it's just, I'm having so much fun and I'm really, really loving it. It's funny though, because the amount of people that you see talk about this, I have literally never seen anybody actually talk about what the plot is. So if you're like me and you had no idea what this was about, like I told you guys, literally the only thing that I knew about this book was that some of the books were spicy and they had fays. That's literally it. So if you're like me and you actually have no idea what the plot of these books are, but you see them everywhere, basically we have this girl named Feyre, and she lives in like this little village when we're first introduced to her, and she lives with her father and her 2 sisters, and they are very poor, like living in poverty, and she's like doing her little Katniss Everdeen, like going into the woods to hunt every day to bring home food for her family. And one day she's in the woods and she sees a wolf and she shoots and kills it, and then it turns out that that wolf was one of the fae that could like shapeshift. So then this other fae comes after her because he explains that they had this treaty between the fae and the mortals, the humans, where if a human ever killed a fae when they were like unprovoked, just for no reason, then the fae could either kill that person or take that person back to like the fairy realm where they have to live out the rest of their life. So they can't live among the humans anymore and they can't see their family ever again. They have to live in the fairy world, which is very dangerous to humans because of all the different creatures and the magic and stuff. That is where we're at. She is now living in fairyland. It sounds a lot more pleasant than it is, but she's like basically just living with this fae in his palace and all the other people that live there. But I am really enjoying it so far. I thought I was so scared to read this book or any book in the series because I thought it was going to be like high fantasy with like a lot of complex world building, but it's really not. I feel like everything is explained very well and it's very easy to comprehend what is going on even as a non-fantasy reader, and I'm just having so much fun. I love all of the different characters that we've been introduced to and the way that they interact with each other. I love seeing all of the different creatures that exist in this realm and the different magic, and just all of that is just so fun. And it's written like, I don't know, like I said, it's just very easy to comprehend and it's very easy to read, and I'm really enjoying it for that reason. And I'm very invested in the plot and the characters, and I don't know, I am just eating it up. That's really all I have to say about it so far. Really enjoying it, and I just like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like, you know when you're really invested in a book and that's all you can think about? Like all day at work today, I was like, I can't wait for a break so I could just sit down and read this book. And then after break, it was like, I can't wait to get home and read this book. And that's just how I'm feeling. I was taking a shower and I was like, oh, I can't wait to get out of the shower and just read this. And I love that. I get why people like fantasy, things that exist in a not human realm, because it really is a nice form of escapism and it's just very fun. And I don't know, I just can't stop thinking about this book, so I'm gonna go read it and finish it and let you guys know how it goes. If it does end up being a 5-star, I feel like it won't be less than a 4, honestly. So that is really good news and very unexpected news. I can't stop thinking though about when I thrifted this. They had another book in this series there as well in like the same style hardcover, and I didn't get it because I was like, well, I don't know if I'll even like this one or even get to this one, so I just bought this and I left the other one there, and now I'm kind of regretting it. I wish I'd gotten both of them when I saw them there, because it very well could have been the second book in the series and I could just go straight into reading it, but now I can't do that. Okay, we are back. I have officially finished A Court of Thorns and Roses. So we're gonna do a little wrap up of everything, but first let me tell you guys my thoughts and my final rating for A Court of Thorns and Roses. I really enjoyed this, and I actually can't wait to get the second book and continue reading in this series. It's really interesting because I see people like say that they have a hard time getting into the book or into this series because this one moves so slow, but I feel like I don't relate to that at all. Like, I feel like it wasn't hard for me to get into this at all. I could definitely see, I guess, why people say that, but I feel like if you're thinking of fantasy or anything that is a series, the first book is gonna be a lot of like world building and like getting you introduced to the characters and all of that. So I guess I could see why people would say it's a little bit slow moving, but hearing that and hearing people say that the second book and the third book are so much more like, I don't know, just intense and easier to get invested into the story, make me really excited to keep reading, and I never thought I would say that. So my final rating for A Court of Thorns and Roses is going to be a 4.5 star. I don't know, I feel like some things at the end kind of started to drag a little bit, where I feel like they were kind of drawn out a little bit longer than was necessary, but overall I still really enjoyed it, and it is one that, like I said, when I was reading it, I just couldn't stop thinking about the next time that I was going to be able to pick it up, and I'm not going to stop thinking about this one for a while, and I'm very excited to continue with the series, and I thoroughly enjoyed every moment that I had with this one. So 4.5, I am so happy. Who would have thought? I never in a million years would have thought that I would have enjoyed this book so much, but it's about to get very expensive for me because I have to go buy all the series now. And of course I want them to match this one, which was thrifted, but it's a hardcover, so. Then we had Once Upon a Broken Heart, which obviously I rated 2 stars, and I went on a little bit of a rant about. Watching back that footage was honestly so funny, and it was a little bit unhinged, but I meant everything that I said. I still probably will read the second book just to see how that goes, but overall, I didn't really enjoy it. And so, because I had one that I didn't really enjoy and one that I really did enjoy, it has kind of helped me to figure out my final rating for the Wolf, because I wasn't sure what I wanted to rate this, but I think I'm gonna land on a 3.5 star because it did definitely have its flaws. There were some things that weren't fully explained, but overall I enjoyed the reading experience and the story and the characters. That's pretty much it. 2 star, 3.5 star, and a 4.5. So with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you guys next time. Let me know if you want me to do like a part 2. I could read sequels. I don't know. We'll see, because there is a sequel to every single one of these. So if you want to see me read the sequels, let me know. Anyway, that's all from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.